All right, everyone, let's go ahead and do this. This is homework number 9 for chapter 8. Okay, and you are to complete 4 of these multiple representation chart. All right, so the first one is the g of x function, and notice that g of x is, you don't know what it's going to look like this up here. Okay, but right, g of x is going to be in the form of f of x, and f of x, this is the graph of f of x down below. That's the graph of f of x. It's this x squared, and x squares look like that. Okay, so we need to write the function g of x in terms of f of x. So g of x is going to be f of x, but instead of x, right? Because it's not just an x squared, right? It's actually x minus 4. So inside of the x, you're going to put x minus 4. Okay, and outside of it, you're going to put a plus 2 because that's not going to be part of the x. That's part of the f of x. And that's part of the function as a whole. So outside of it, it's just going to be plus 2. Right, if you do enough of this, you'll get the hang of it. Describe the transformation. Okay, so outside the plus 2, right, that's going to be a vertical translation of up 2. And inside with the x, that's going to be a horizontal translation of right 4. Okay, remember inside is going to be always be opposite, right? So inside with the x, where a transformation or the translation of the x is going to be opposite. Okay, coordinate notation. Okay, so normally you have your x and your y. But we are going to change that to x, and then what's going on with x, right? Well, x is going to be right 4, meaning we're adding 4. So it's going to be x plus 4, comma. And then what's going on with the y? Well, the y is up 2. So that means that we're going to add 2. Okay, so that's the coordinate notation. So what's going on is if we want to graph this, if we want to graph it, we have to use this basic graph. That's why we're doing the basic graph, right? The basic graph of f of x is equal to x squared. Okay, so basically I would say, take a couple dots and a couple points on there. So I'd say that one and maybe 2 and 4 and negative 2 and 4. It's actually a little bit off, but I would take those 3 and I would transform those. So each one is going to be 4 to the right, 2 to the 2 up, right? So 4 to the right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2. Right, and then this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2. So there, and then this one's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2. All right, so my new graph is going to look like this. Okay, that's my graph of g of x. Okay, the domain, it's going to keep going as far left as we can go and far right. So we're going to say the domain is from all x's that are greater than negative infinity and less than infinity. And the range, okay, we're going to say all y's that are less than, and it's going to go all the way up. So it's going to be less than infinity, and all y's that are greater than, and this is going to be greater than just positive 2. Because if you look, the lowest it gets to is to a 2 right here. Okay. And it doesn't have an asymptote, so this one doesn't have asymptote for you. Okay, this next one. Now, it looks like I don't have the function here. And I don't have it here. I don't have a description here. I don't have a coordinate notation here, but I do have a graph. Okay, so it looks like that I have a graph. So I'm going to go ahead and see what I can do with this graph. So this graph looks like this is the basic function of f of x. That's what it says here. So that's the absolute value, and absolute value looks like a v. Okay, and it looks like I'm going to the left. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like I'm going to the left 5 times and down. So it looks like this is a vertical, a horizontal. I'm going to write the description first. Translation of left 5, then vertical translation. Oh, I'll just abbreviate that. It looks like it's going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it looks like it's going down 7. So we'll say vertical translation down 7. Okay, so by doing that, I can actually write in my coordinate notation. So from XY all the way to X, and it says it's going to be left 5, so it'll be minus 5. And then, oops, that'll be comma. And then the Y is going to be down 7, so it'll be minus 7. Okay, so that's what's really going on. In terms of the basic function, right, we're going to write it as f of x. Okay, but instead of x, remember we're doing left 5, right? And remember in x, if we're writing in function notation, it's going to be opposite. So it'll be x plus 5. So left usually means minus, but we're doing opposites. So it's going to be plus 5, and we're going to go down 7. So we'll just put minus 7. Okay. And then the actual function itself, it's going to be absolute value. So it'll be absolute value of x, and then just write it like how it is, plus 5. Close that up, and then minus 7. Just like that. Okay. Domain, if you look here, domain goes as far left and as far right as we can. So we're going to say for x greater than negative infinity, less than infinity. And the range is going to go up as high as we can go. So that's going to be y less than infinity. But that's bigger than, and we just got to figure out what's this number right here. Right? That's the range right there. And so it looks like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So y greater than negative 7. Yeah. And that's it. Okay. I suggest you listen to what I was talking about and not just writing down answers if you're not sure about how to do it. Okay, you should be following along as I'm talking about it. Okay. Backside, this is the function 5 to x. So these look like exponentials, and you can see that this function 5 to x, okay, has a couple points, right? You would have the first point right here at 0, 1, and then this one's a little off. This one should be at 1, 5, right? So because when x is 1, the y should be 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should actually be up here. So this graph is a little bit off, and then a negative 1 should be at. So this looks, on the left side, it looks okay. On the right hand side, it's a little bit off. It should actually be steeper like that. And that should be f of x. Okay. So here, I'll fix it for you guys. There. At least it's sort of fixed on mine. So that's what f of x is equal to 5 to x power looks like. Okay, so looks like everything's done for us. Looks like we're just doing, so instead of x, right? Instead of f of x, we're putting x minus 4. So when we rewrite it, it'll be 5 to the x minus 4. And that's all little number. And it looks like we have a minus 2 in the back of it. So it'll be big minus 2, like that. Okay. Transformation. What's going on? Right. So little x minus 4 or x minus 4, that's going to be a horizontal. Here, I'll write translation of, so it's going to be opposite of negative 4. So that's going to be right 4. And it's going to be the same in vertically as that. So it would be vertical translation of down 2. Okay, coordinate notation. Now, coordinate notation is going to be off of what's happening, not the function. Okay, it's off of what you're saying is happening, not off of this right here or off of this right here. Coordinate notation goes along with the description of what's really happening, and that's going to be the described transformation. So coordinate notation, x, y, that's going to turn into x, and it looks like x is going to be right 4, so that's going to be plus 4. Okay, notice this is always going to be opposite of this right here. Okay, keep that in mind. Oops. And then y is going to be, look at it, it's going to be down 2, so it'll be minus 2. And notice this right here will always be the same as this right here. Okay. All right. So the graph. So I'm just going to go ahead and take whatever I have there, and I'm going to go ahead and do right 2, right 4, and down 2. So this point right here is going to be right 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2. 1, 2. So that spot's going to be right there. This one right here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2. This one's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2. 1, 2. So my graph will look something like this. It's going to follow this line forever. Okay. Domain, x in the middle, less than, infinity, negative infinity. We've been down this row before. Okay. Range, y in the middle, less than infinity. And this is the only part you really have to think about. What's the lowest y it goes? Well, it goes pretty high up. What does it come down to? It goes down to 0 and 1, negative 1, and then it comes down to negative 2, but it doesn't go past that. It doesn't go down below. You can see there's nothing over here, right? So it doesn't go down below negative 2. So it goes only as far as negative 2. So we're going to say negative 2 less than y, less than infinity. And then your asymptote always is based off of this number right here. So it's going to be y equals negative 2. And the asymptote in itself, it looks like this right here. That's an asymptote. It's an invisible line that the graph follows forever. And that line is y equals negative 2. That's why we call it an asymptote. Okay. Let's see. This one looks like I have a line. So it's probably a linear function. And if you look here, this is the linear function down here. So, yep. Looks like it matches. We don't have any part of the graph. We don't have any of the function. Right? We don't have any function. We don't have the description, but we do have the coordinate notation. So I think we can go off of that. Okay, so this is coordinate notation. It looks like I'm not doing anything with the x. See how the x stays the same? The only thing that changes is the y. Y is add 5. So the only thing that's going to happen is this is going to be a vertical translation of up 5 units. Okay, looks like that's all that's happening. Vertical translation of up 5. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and do the graph at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and pick 2 points on here. Let's go with this one and maybe this one. And I'm just going to go up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's my new one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my new one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just graph that. Okay, and that's my g of x. Okay, go ahead and do domain. Domain's going to be all the way to the left from all the way to the right. So we're going to go x in the middle, less than, and I told you guys it's always going to be less than and less than. Okay, if you're trying to figure out the domain or range in between two extremities or two end, it's going to be always less than, and you put your x or y in between, and they'll be from negative infinity to infinity. The range, how far up? It goes pretty high up, so it'll be y less than infinity. And how far down does it go? It goes pretty far down. It actually keeps going down forever. So the range is also going to be from negative infinity to positive infinity, like the domain. Okay. And basic function, if this is just an x, then we just write down it's just f of x because it's not changing on the x, but it is changing on the y. So we're going to put plus 5. And remember, the y is going to be the same. So plus 5 plus 5. And in this case, it's going to be just an x. Okay, nothing inside with the x. So you can put parentheses around it if you like, but plus 5. That means that it's going to happen on the y. So if you like it like that, it's fine. Or if you don't like it like that, then you can just leave the parentheses out, and that'll be fine as well. Okay. All right, everyone. That's a wrap. See you guys tomorrow. Do your homework.